Hello and welcome to another review video. So today I'm talking about Samsung Z Fold 5, and this is the latest foldable from Samsung. And apart from their flip phone, this is the only other foldable phone that they have. So two foldables are what they have been out from the longest time. Fold 5 and Flip 5 have been out in the market since a couple of months now, and we decided to get one. Today I just want to talk about a few things that we experienced in the last 1 month. So my partner got this and it's been a month of using it, and I have used it myself for a couple of days, and I just want to talk a bit about a keeper return situation that we are facing with it. And we have sort of made up our mind, but I do want to talk about what the points were. So of course the Fold 5 is an expensive phone, and it took us a lot of time to decide that we even want it or we don't want it, and especially moving from an iOS to an Android was a huge decision, but we did decide to get it. And there were a couple of things we faced which was making us think about whether we should really keep it or should we return it. Of course return is not really an option, but we have figured something out in case we need to. So I don't really want to be talking about the specs of this phone or the features of the phone or the good things or the bad things about the phone in itself, because there are a ton of videos which do that, and we had gone through many of these videos to know whether this phone is worth it or not. So I'm not going to be doing that, but I'm just going to be talking about a few things which really stood out in the first few weeks of the usage, and that's what this video is going to be about. I'm not going to get into the technical things at all because that's so easily available, and there's nothing different really in the phone that is worth calling out for. And I will be doing that in the end, where I will talk about some good things that do stand out. But apart from that, just the main experience of how it was using the Fold 5 and what were the immediate issues or what were the immediate good things we noticed is what I want to be doing. So let's get into it. So of course the first thing I want to talk about is the fold form factor, which is mainly the outer screen, which then leads into your fold screen, which is the kind of the widest screen that you will be using on the fold. It's almost like a multiple of 3 screens here, because you have the outer screen, which is sort of narrow, and then when you open it up you have the big wide squarish kind of a screen. It's definitely great, but the outer screen is way too narrow. A lot of apps are not compatible yet with that form of a screen, and there are a couple of reasons which make us really feel that it does not work. It's barely good enough to make conversations or have any kind of chats with someone or to reply to emails, because it's just too narrow and the text is way too small. The only good feature of the outer screen is to kind of take or receive, make or receive calls. That's all it's good for, to just swipe up and receive the call, or just to go to your keypad and make the calls. The other way the outer screen can be used is of course for watching videos, which of course is fine when you're in bed and you want to watch something on your screen and you want it to be a bit more compact and not too big in bed. So that is the other way we can use the outer screen. Yet another way of using the outer screen is of course to use it for selfie cameras or to see the preview of the outer camera, but on the other side, the main camera is on the other side. So those are the only few things that the outer screen is good for, but apart from that it's really not handy at all. Now, while the fold screen in itself with the crease and everything is perfectly fine, it's very durable, it feels very good, you can barely see the crease, you can barely notice any differences from a normal screen, because yes, this is not like your OLED screen and it's not that crisp and everything just like an iPhone screen, but you barely notice a difference. But an issue that we faced was this glitch during a video call, and the idea of having this phone was of course to use it to make video calls, attend Teams calls, Zoom calls and things like those, and we faced this little glitch where our video was not visible and it went into a complete glitch, which probably was due to the fold in itself, because we switched between the call a couple of times from the fold screen versus to the outer screen and back again, and I think that caused the glitch, which of course should not have happened. It was a very critical error that we faced, which could have cost us a lot, so definitely not happy with that one. That was the first time we felt that this definitely cannot happen and should not be happening, and it maybe not be worth it. The next thing is the battery life. So I think this has 4400 mAh, if I'm not wrong, and in this Fold 5 from the last Fold, of course, they've increased the inner screen brightness to 1700 nits from 1000 nits, if I'm not wrong, but it is consuming a lot of battery. In fact, I had charged this to a full charge a day before, and I didn't use it at all. It was just kept there for a day, and it is at 50%. I've been using it for the last 5 minutes in order to shoot this video, and it's already at 40%. And we've noticed it overnight, the battery just drops heavily, even when it's not in use and it's just on simply Wi-Fi and there are no activities on the phone. And by the middle of the day, if you're using the phone completely to its best, it drops very frequently to 50, and you need to carry a charger with you, which is a complete no in today's world, because we don't want to be carrying our chargers with us everywhere we go. I mean, that's not what happens with iPhones for sure. The third thing that really stood out for us during our use for this month of using the Fold 5 was that there is a really poor ecosystem, and by that what I mean is including the stores, the cases, the S Pen, the colors of the phone, the sizes of the phone. Nothing is available easily at all. Even in the best of the best Samsung stores that we have gone to, there are no S Pens. The staff doesn't want to help. The helpline, the customer care numbers, they are very poor. We've called almost all the stores and none of them know about the availability of the products. Like we've been trying to find the case which has the S Pen built into it, but we still can't get our hands on it. So that's like half the experience if you're not able to get the products that we want. The cases which we do get, which are the third-party cases like this one, for example, which are good, they do the job, but honestly they are very flimsy in a way that when you're holding it, it kind of comes off. You're actually holding it with this little thing, and it's just not really a good experience. It does protect it, but I'm not sure if it will protect it from a fall. It's not that sturdy. So while you may see many videos online of different types of cases, when it actually comes to purchasing it, there are very few in good quality. So that was the other one. So if I can't get my hands on the cases, the S Pen, and the shops are the way they are, the customer care is the way they are, it's really a downer for us. It's really not gonna make us want to be continuing in the future with this phone. Now, while I'm talking about the collective experience that we've had on this phone, when it comes specifically to me, and since I create videos, it's very odd shape. It's very odd shape for me to kind of put on tripods. Like imagine putting this into a tripod. It's quite tough. Of course, I can fold it and put it this way, but then I can't really make use of the outer screen, which can serve as a preview screen for me. And yes, there are ways in which I can mount it on different types of tripods, but why should I have to go out and find those, because none of it is easily available. So that's a toughest thing for me, because even though it has 4K recording, I really haven't been able to experience it to shoot myself with it, and I really can't shoot from the inside camera because it's a really poor quality camera in terms of how I do it when I shoot it with my iPhone, which is the one on which I'm shooting this video on. So honestly, for content creation in terms of shooting videos, it wasn't really a great experience. I mean, I still need to sit down and spend a whole day and figure out how can I make videos with this, and the different kind of attachments I need to make it work for me. So while it's a very good camera on the back, I would anytime go to the ease of use of an iPhone. Like even the most basic iPhone, the base model, even the last year's iPhones or the year before are way more easier for me to create content. So again, that's a point that really was not for the positive. So having said everything so far, there are a lot of good things about the phone that are totally worth mentioning. It leads to a great browsing experience. Like the screen for sure is really nice, really crisp. The brightness is really great. When I'm browsing and I'm doing multitasking, which I really miss from my earlier Huawei phone. I used to be on a Huawei P30 Pro, and it had multitasking like 4 years back, and floating windows and split screen windows and whatnot, so long back ago. But if I had to shift to a Samsung Fold phone, for that reason, I shouldn't have to spend so much, because there are so many Android phones which have multitasking. Having said that again, but it's really great on this big screen. The big screen helps for sure a lot. So with split screens, you have 3 different split screen models, and you can have a fourth window where you have a floating window there. So that's pretty neat. You can do a lot, and it helps for content creators again. So for example, if I want to play a video on one of the screens and see some details about that video on the screen below it, and maybe do some calculations on the side, and maybe have a floating window for some other things, it's really perfect for that. Doesn't make for a peaceful person though with so much multitasking, but really can make you hyper, but it can get a lot done. So it can really be used productively in so many different situations. So points to the phone for that. The other thing is the DeX mode that I want to talk about. So if you can find a C-type to HDMI cable, which is easily available, actually not much of an issue, but if you have that cable, you can actually use this phone like a CPU connected to any TV. The phone itself becomes a keyboard or a browsing pad, like a mouse pad or touch screen, which can actually convert this phone into almost a CPU, almost a computer for your TV screen. So you don't really you're not really limited to this screen size to do computing things, and any screen can be converted into a computer, because technically this has really strong specs, but to serve as a CPU, not so much as a smartphone, because smartphones need to be way more handy than that. But yes, as a CPU, just this little device, I mean, it's quite amazing. It's quite an innovation that you can convert screens, and you can do so much more on DeX mode. So a shout out to that a feature for sure. The last thing I want to talk about is a new One UI OS. The One UI was already there on Samsung 24 Ultra, I believe, and it has just come to Fold 5 as well, which I have seen has some major improvements for this, where a lot of apps are now compatible for the full screen mode. Like when you open it and you are on the full screen, a lot of apps which were not earlier compatible and would open as floating windows. So for example, Zepto, which is a grocery app where I order my groceries from, it would open as a very thin, very oddly shaped app, and I was unhappy with that, but now it opens as a full screen. So that's one change I've seen. I think more compatibility has happened. Galaxy AI is now a part of it, which is very cool. So you just need to kind of hold your button here, and you can pick and choose and select any part, any object on the screen, and it will immediately do a Google Lens on it of sorts, where it will tell you more about that bit selected and where you can find it, what it does cost, and things like those. So a lot of more information is easily available on hand with that. You don't really need to leave from one window to another, because yes, arguably you can do it on a reverse image search, or you can go to Google Lens and things like those. But the whole thing is, why should you have to? If you have such a powerful phone, it should all happen on the same go. So that's a really good, neat feature, I would like to say. Last but not the least, I do want to talk about the Samsung 6 watch. This is the 40mm Bluetooth version, and we have put a little case around it, so kind of just to help us use it a bit more ruggedly, because these are very susceptible to scratches and things like those. Now, the watch in itself is okay if you are a first-time user for a smartwatch. Definitely fine, definitely recommend it. It's pretty neat. It's got a lot of features which you can sort of enjoy. But if you have been a regular Apple Watch user, you're not gonna be so happy with this. The problem that we faced was the health parameters, the fitness parameters, things that no one is going to really tell you. It isn't accurate. So it has a lot of features like measuring your blood pressure, measuring fitness parameters of your workouts and things like those. But honestly, we found them to be not so accurate when compared to the Apple Watch. So we have used this for a while now, and we have taken it to the gym a lot, but honestly it always felt off. And the worst thing, which again very few people know or talk about, is the fact that Samsung doesn't share data with Google Fit, which is so restrictive. And if I want to share data on certain fitness apps, it just becomes so difficult. There is a delay in updating the data from the watch to the phone as well. Also, one important point at this point is how do you take this to the gym? How do you work out with this device in a gym? So it's not really a device you can take just about anywhere. I think that leads me to think that this is for specific type of people, specific lifestyles, specific personalities. So maybe a corporate person would love this, but someone from a creative world may not, someone from a fitness world may not. But people who are very who are kind of in corporate kind of roles and are always maybe in a very good environment, and by that what I mean is they're not really out and about. You can't really move a lot with this phone in your pockets. You can't really go to like a local market with this phone and things like those. It sounds silly, but it's true, because if you're out and you need to make a transaction and you open your phone and you're out in some kind of places, it doesn't really work. So I imagine someone sitting in a big cabin using it, someone who just wants to read their mails, someone who wants to browse a lot and things like those, or just for the badge value of it, or for the fact that you have a fold phone, like that's what it's good for. But apart from that, whatever I can achieve with this phone, even though this is so much more powerful, is my iPhone, at least at the moment, or any other Android phone for that matter. This is not really an iOS versus an Android kind of a discussion, but the fact that foldables are not really so convenient for so many of us, or for so many use cases that can be there for the phone. Having said everything, it is an amazing phone, and you can do so much with it, and there are so many use cases where it works brilliantly, where maybe other phones may be lacking, but those are very few, and I can't even name them right now. I mean, there's so few of them. But yeah, all in all, the glitch that we faced, the battery life that we faced, and the whole ecosystem that we faced, where we could not find other Samsung products to assist our phone. I mean, we would have bought the Samsung Galaxy Buds next, but thankfully we didn't invest so much in it. Having said everything, it's a definite return for us. Of course, there's no way to return it, but we have found a buyer for the phone, and gladly we should be able to give it away and maybe get something else. But I thought I should share our experience on the Fold 5 with you, because a lot of people just talk about the specs of the phone, and that's not the idea that I wanted to cover here. I just wanted to talk about our experience, our individual experience, and I hope that helps. And if you're a very, very old Samsung user and wanted to always go for foldables, it could be good for you. So I hope any bit of this video would help you in any of the ways. It's definitely a good phone, but you have to be really sure what you want to use it for. So if you want it for fitness, creativity, what is it? What's the reason you want to buy it for? Just be sure of that, because it's a huge investment, and you may feel a bit shortchanged when you see certain kind of technical issues. So just be wary of that. Nevertheless, great phone. Great specs, and totally worth it in many ways, but it's just been a ride for us, so it's a return. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Bye.